Hey guys, Jeremy here at Mywaymfg. Back out working here in the deck today. This hole behind me, let's lay some blocks in it. See if we can get that plugged up, you know? Get that plugged up, we'll get the rest of this floor tore out of here and get it thrown on the back of the 1-ton. Anyway, looking back at our hole, if you look in there and see them blocks, I've already laid them up from the inside, probably a couple years ago. What I've been doing here, you can't get to the backs of them when you do that. Anyway, they look good from the front. But anyway, what I've been doing here, these blocks are 10 inches wide. So I've been taking 4-inch wide blocks. I'll put a row on the inside, like what you're seeing there. Get that flushed up with the interior wall. Then on the back side, you end up with about 2 inches in between them. And then you do the back side. And by the time you do that, you end up with a pretty good repair because you got support on the front and the back. So anyway, I got to clean all this squeezed out mortar out of here so I got a good surface to work with and start laying these up. This wall was never meant to show, so the whole wall has got squeezed out mortar and joints that weren't filled. But we're going to fill them up and knock off that loose stuff best we can, because most likely I'm just going to paint this wall. So we'll get it looking somewhat good as we can. If you look over here, this was all the same way, and I've done this section, just knocked off where it was squeezed out and then filled wherever it needed filled. And then you can get something halfway decent out of it, you know. Get a little paint on there. At least there's no gaps, you know. At some point in time, somebody had cut this door in here. And when they did, all they did was just took a hammer and knocked the blocks out. So I took like chicken wire and went up the sides, and I just skim coated that and cut some lines in it with a striker and tried to make that look a little better. Then I took a couple pieces of angle iron, and that's good heavy stuff. I put that on both sides and then squeezed it together with bolts. And I know that's working good because the cracks up here never come back. There was some pretty bad cracks up there because of that. But anyway, we'll get this looking good enough to throw a little paint on it. Just been smacking around on that with a chisel. It's getting fairly clean. This old mortar, it not near as hard as the new stuff, you know. You can get it off there pretty easily. The new stuff, on the other hand, like here, much harder. We don't have to get that perfect, just all the big chunks out, so we got something good to start with here. It might be good enough. See if we can get this corner knocked off this guy. Right there somewhere. That side there ain't too bad. All right, keep going. All right, we'll put that one right in the middle of this head joint. Then we'll measure when to cut here and measure when to cut here. Do us a top row. Got all the pieces cut and just laid there. That's what we got left, is those three little pieces of block left, I guess. I bought 3 blocks for this. I got a masonry blade I keep in that saw, and I'm gonna have to carry that in now that I'm done cutting, because this saw looks a whole lot like that saw. Inevitably, I'd pick that up and try to cut a 2x4 with it. So that's going back inside. Probably good enough for me. Take this grout bag and fill these joints. I think that'll be just fine. Come out here in a little bit after that sets for just a bit and get the excess off there and see what it looks like. This is a joiner. You'd normally run it through the joints, give you a nice rounded joint like you see. Really don't want to do this here because this wall doesn't have any good joints in it, you know. So what we're going to be doing is just kind of holding this sideways. It'll put a little concave in there, but mainly just knock it off. And we'll take a brush and just kind of brush it. Kind of make it look more like the rest of it, you know. Anyway, this is all set up a little bit here. I think that's about all that's going to get out of me, but I don't think it's too bad. We'll let that dry up. I got several of the joints over on this side of the pole done too. So anyway, a lot less cracks in there than there was, not to mention no more big hole. Splash a little paint on that at some point and probably look decent. I'm going to go in for today, but I did get a hole dug for this post and I've got it plumbed up there. Got two more coming out through here. I'm going to have to get them in, but I think tomorrow's project is going to be to get some concrete in that hole, get this post set. If I get off work early enough, I might start digging another hole for the next one. Got two kind of big projects going on this week at work, and if I get both of them kind of caught up, or one of them done, the other one caught up, hope to take a day off towards the end of the week and just work on this. Anyway, mortar water dried up. That repair looks pretty good. Got more of this floor tore out. That's where I was standing just the other day. We'll go ahead and knock more of this loose off and finish filling this bottom portion now. Look at these blocks. Look at that first 2 rows. Block on top of block. That's what you call a stacked bond. That's never been done that way. Somebody screwed up. And my guess is, if you look at the rest of the walls of this building, they're like an ornamental sculpted block. Very nicely done. Bond's great, everything's great. What I'm thinking, this wall here was never meant to show. They probably had a guy that didn't really know how to lay block. He probably showed up to work drunk every day, and they probably thought, gosh, where are we gonna put old Everett today? We don't want him working on these pretty walls. Put him over on the south side. He can't screw up over there too much. Well, an hour later, we'll go check on him. This is what happened. Stacked bond. He finally got it straightened out when he got to there. I'd never seen that before because it was underneath the floor. It's like he started here. You ever see anything like that? My uncle was a block layer. He would just laugh his ass off if he was to see that. But anyway, that's what happened. It's been there for about 115 years, so I guess it's gonna hold. We'll just go with it. We're gonna have to, right? I've got this post here behind me set, plumbed up in the hole. I gotta get a little concrete in the bottom of that, but this morning my hole was topped off with water. There's still quite a bit in there, but right there's the downspout. Where's that gonna go, right? Anyway, I had some Chevy orange paint. That shows up good. Got the other 2 poles marked, so I guess I'm gonna be digging for a while today, seeing as how I don't have any mysterious distributor problems to work on at the moment. What a deal that was. If you guys watched those other videos. Wow. Good job, Richard. Anyway, I'm gonna get to digging. Got that hole dug a few days ago. Got this one dug yesterday. Got one to dig over there. I'm gonna start on that here in a minute. I know I'm not gonna like it because I didn't like doing these 2. But anyway, I'm gonna pull this pole back out here and get a concrete pad poured in the bottom of both of these holes. I dug the holes way bigger diameter than what they needed to be because I want to be able to adjust them poles. I don't want to have to keep lifting them heavy poles in and out. So I think it's easier just to dig the holes bigger so I can slide them around a little bit. And then this is Thursday. I'm thinking maybe by Friday I can start with some of this front framing, you know. Got mixed up some concrete. I poured in the bottom of that hole, and I poured in the bottom of that hole. Kind of troweled it off with a trowel. That's probably about 5 inches thick. Started digging the other hole. As I was digging it, I ran into that piece of steel. I thought for a minute it might be part of the old railroad trolley track that went back to the sacrete room, but it's a thin piece. I can wiggle it, don't feel like it's very long. I think I'll get a spade and try to get that pulled out of there. But there for a minute, I thought I ran into a railroad track, and I thought, I guess I'll just have to set my pole on top of it, you know. But I should be able to continue a little deeper here now. I get that out of there. As soon as that sets up, I'll drop the poles in them and start marking them for the notches. joist roughly in place. Here in a minute, I'm gonna mark that post and get ready to cut the notches for the 2x12s. I'll take it back out and then put it back. It's a good thing I decided to put 4 or 5 inches of concrete in the bottom of them holes. These posts are longer than the other ones I was using because I knew I was going to be sinking them in the ground, but even so, that's not sticking up much past the top. Had I not put that concrete in there, they might not have made it to the top of the floor joist. And I want them to kind of go to the top of the floor joist so they terminate right below the deck boards, because then when I go to attach my top post for my railing and my roof supports, I can get right on top of those and anchor them real good. And I've seen guys that have used real long continuous posts to go clear up 2 stories to hold a roof, but you do that, it always seems like they got a bow in them, doesn't it? When you look at decks like that, there's always a post that's got a bow in it. But not to mention, I wouldn't have been able to handle posts that tall anyway. That's all I can do to handle these, to tell you the truth. What we'll do, we'll get this one all tied in good with floor joists on each side of it, like we did up there. Those just butt up to the ends of one another. We'll cut the top of that post off back there. Probably get rid of that first 2x4 by the door, because it's just going to be in the way. I don't think we're going to need it. We'll get this ledger board running true with the building. It's not bad now. Might come in a 1/2 inch. After we get that board tied up against the building, then we'll use the 3, 4, 5 method to square this corner, and you can increase those numbers. So I'll be going 6 foot, 8 foot, and then 10 foot to make my triangle to check for square. That next hole's big enough, hopefully we can slip the bottom of the post around to get it square. After we got a square corner here, the next post we ought to just be able to string line it, because if it is out of square, but as long as it's straight with the front, there's nothing we're going to be able to do to square that up anyway. When I built that wall, I just string lined off the existing wall. So this wall is only as straight as the existing wall was. So is it completely parallel with this wall? I have no idea. I think it's pretty close, but it's going to be what it's going to be. If it happens to be off an inch or something, we just rip a board there when we get to the end, but I think it's probably going to be pretty good. But that's where I'm at with it right now. It's about 8:30 in the morning on a Friday. I'm trying to take the day off work, get a little bit of this done. Standing up on the ladder. That looks real good. Our deck boards are supposed to come right to the top of that concrete block or floor. That looks good too. So I'm going to make sure this pole's still plumb. And I'll make some marks here where the 2x12s go. See, that looks real good. Let's mark her. All right, bottom cut for the 2x12. Top cut for the 2x12. 2x8 was set here, and there's a top cut for it. So that'll get whacked off all the way there. I think that's right. I've thought that before. We'll get to notching here, and hopefully it is. Got that rather precariously propped up there. I set a 2x4 on that window ledge and then just put an angle. It's holding it for now. Can it hold it for another half an hour? Yeah, we'll see. I got that notched out on both sides and cut that much off the top of it. That make it maybe about 3 pounds lighter. I hope so. That'd be good for me. Gonna get it stood back up there, and if it doesn't fit, I'm just gonna go in the house. After the last couple weeks, I'm just don't have it in me to fight it, you know? I think it'll fit fine. We'll see. It looks real good. I don't think we could be off by much there. I put the level on the post. It's plumb both ways, and the floor joists are level. Looks like the floor height's right. I think we're about ready to set another pole. I could probably go ahead and fill this one and tamp it in. Might do that. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna backfill this hole, guys. Get that middle post roughly set in place. It's plumbed up there. I just put this 2x8 along the bottom. These are both temporary, but I've measured 6 foot one way and 8 foot the other, coming off that inside corner of the 6x6. And I've got a finish nail here at the inside edge of each one of my boards. So I'm going to be looking for a 10-foot measurement between there so I can adjust this pole in and out and get a square corner here. We're an inch out at the moment. Me at 120, I had exactly 119. So see if we can move this out an inch. And we got it halfway there. Show you what's going on. Okay, that tape measures at the inside edge, nearabouts. Inside edge here. We're out just a little bit. Needs to come in. And let me stretch my tape tight. That'll help. I'm pretty well right on the money there. So that should mean that corner is square. So our post needs to come out that much. Looks like we got room for it to do so. So let me get this moved. After I know it's set and where it needs to be, we'll see if we can mark the top of it. All right. We're 10 foot there. Our diagonal corner, 6 foot that way, 8 foot this way, 10 foot that way. This board down here was bowing out. I sunk that spade in the ground and shimmed it with a piece of 2x. If I eyeball down that board, it looks pretty good and straight. The poles are plumbed up with each other. I can't see the back side of the garage wall poking out, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to take one more measurement from the inside of the footing back there to this edge, and then do it here to this edge at this post. See if my distance coming out's the same. If it is, I would say the pole's pretty well set. Got 165 1/4. Try it again over here. 165 1/4. We're right on the money. Let's just try it here where I got the spade sunk in, just for the hell of it. Nothing really done there yet, but we'll see. $165 1/4. We're good in all three spots. So I absolutely hate trying to cut the notches for them 2x12s. That's a lot of cutting with these setting vertical. Over there, man, it wore my arms out. I have had such a hell of a hard time getting this post in place. I'm trying to keep all three of them spaced evenly. So I've been checking that measurement, this measurement, square measurement. I am half tempted to set it right where it's at and then struggle through cutting the notches up off a ladder. If I have to, I could even put the scaffold up. I do not want to have to set that post again. And you know how, I don't know why, some of them may got treated at different times or something and had longer dry periods, but some of these posts are probably 30 pounds heavier than others. And then and this one's heavy. This one's way heavier than that one was. The thought of lifting that out of the hole, ugh. But I also don't want to cut them notches off a ladder. I'm gonna drink a cup of coffee and think about it. Whatever you see me do next, I've made my decision, and it's probably gonna be wrong. Usually is. I decided to take it down. I think it's easier than trying to do it upright. That's just too hard to do, trying to do it up off a ladder. Even though it's heavy, I think that was the right decision. Got one side of it notched. Underneath all that sawdust is my dog, Mac. He's a 10-year-old Mastiff. They're only supposed to live 8. And he's showing his age. He's watched me do a lot of work around here in the last 10 years, and he always likes to lay right where I'm working. This time he might have regretted it. And I think he's completely deaf. I don't even know if he could hear the saw. Hey, Mackie. You all right, buddy? Better shake off, man. You got sawdust on you. Do it later. Give her a shake. There you are. You mad at me? I just got that backfilled. Checking my measurement here for square. After I got it filled, I stretched my tape tight. Right on the money on square. I'm gonna check this post if it's still plumb, and I think it is. I'm gonna go ahead and put up one of the 2x12s. I don't have this post set yet. I can just leave it hang on that side. If I put them both up, I probably would have trouble getting that post in. But if I've only got one of them up, I think it would actually help me get the post in, because I'd have something to anchor the top to. So if I get one 2x12 up there, I could probably put in a few floor joists and kind of tie this together lengthwise. That needs to kick back just a little. I'll move this brace out some. That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. These 2x12s are like, what was the other ones? 12 footers? I think these are 16 footers. They're like 4 foot longer than the other ones were, so they're gonna be heavy. I got 2 of them left on the trailer and one more 6x6 left on here. After I get them 2x12s and that 6x6 used up, the rest of the stuff's gonna get lighter. And as soon as the trailer's empty, I'm gonna go to town and get more. Get a few sheets of siding for one thing, and get this siding on this side before we put the rest of the floor joists up. Probably at the same time get the deck boards, you know. 16 foot 2x12. Man, I don't know if you get much harder to work with than that when you're by yourself. I think I'm gonna put another cross brace underneath the notch on the other pole. So I got 2 of them up there. You know what I'm saying? That might be pretty easy to drop. That's up there. Ended up fitting real tight. I had to beat it in with a hammer. I guess that's kind of good. I don't even have any screws in it just yet. I envisioned this end being above the roof, but it's not. And I'm gonna be putting one of them end caps on that roof, you know, where the roof and siding come together. I don't have it here yet. And I don't really know how much room I need for that thing. I've left about a 1/2 inch there, and I'm thinking that's probably enough. It probably just fits up tight against that. So that's probably about where that needs to be, but I'm gonna get that on the next trip to town. At the present moment, I'm just not real sure. I guess I can always reach up there and cut it. And then this here, I could either take it back down and saw it off with a circular saw, or I could try to cut it in place with a sawzall. It'd probably look best if I just marked it and took it back down. I think that's what I'll do, although it's heavy. And then on this pole, I'm out of level across there by about 1/4 inch. And the only thing I could do would be shim the bottom of that pole, which I'm not gonna do that, or just cut my notch a 1/2 inch bigger at the top, or 1/4 inch bigger, I guess it was. And then just shim under it with some pieces of wood shim or something. So I don't want to have to keep taking that in and out and jacking with the pole, you know. But really though, it's close. It's not quite perfect, but it's really close. I can get it better. I think that's where I'm gonna end it for tonight. I'm just kind of hot and ready to go in, but man, I'm liking the way that's looking. Marked a line on that. This is Friday afternoon. My son Colton, he usually drops by a few times over the weekend. I'll have him help me set that down. I'll cut it, and him and I can get it back up. I think if I take off just a saw blade width on the top of that metal pole, that'll come up enough to level that up, and it fits real tight now anyway. So I think by the time I do that, it'll fit better and probably be pretty close to level at that point. But once again, I got to looking. I got like 50 minutes on this video, so I'm just going to go ahead and post it here. This is long enough, right? You guys don't want to watch me that long. And next video, we should have this all framed up. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. All them things help the channel out. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Jeremy.